Okay, so we're going to begin this lesson called coordinating the flexors and extensors. The flexors are the muscles that bend you forward, that fold you forward. So that would mean everything in the front of the body. The extensors are the muscles that bend you backwards, that open you up. So opening or folding, that would be extending or flexing. A few things before we start. Please don't do anything that causes you any discomfort at all in any way, shape, or form, or anything that makes you feel inadequate or incapable. So you want to stay within a pleasant, easy range. The slower you go, the more information that you get, and the softer that you move, the better quality between your brain and your body as you move. All right, so we're going to begin with what we call a reference movement, or sometimes it's called a baseline. So as you lie here, if I asked you to roll to one side and get up, which side would you roll to? So just begin going a little bit to one side or the other, and just which way would you go to roll to your side and get up to standing? And maybe you try a few on each side, and you'll notice that one side feels more coordinated or softer or lighter or easier. And then you can pick that one and stay with that and actually come all the way up to standing. And just find out how you would come up to standing, how many steps it would take, how comfortable it feels, how coordinated you feel when you do it, and then come back down to the ground again. If you have trouble getting to the ground, you can put a chair over here by your mat and use the chair to help you get down and up. So do that several times, rolling to stand up, discovering how you do that. And you don't have to watch me or mimic me in any part of this lesson, because you're trying to find out how you do it. You're not trying to do it the way I do it. That's the opposite of what these lessons are about. What these lessons are about is you finding your own true motivation, inclination for action. So now just settle down into the floor, make yourself comfortable, and just take a few minutes to pause and notice your breath. Perhaps you notice, does the inhale take longer than the exhale, or does the exhale take longer than the inhale? Maybe you need to adjust yourself as you begin to settle into the floor. Can you feel that your belly is moving as a result of your breath? Not that you want to force anything, but you're just noticing whether or not there's movement in your belly. Is there any movement in your ribs? Just take note of that. And as you begin to soften your breath, you can start to allow yourself to surrender to the support of the floor underneath you. So every place that touches, the heels, the calves, the pelvis, the middle of the back. Do your shoulder blades touch as you're lying on the floor right now? Does your lower back touch? How much space is underneath your lower back? How much of your hand could you slide underneath it? And how about under your neck? Can you get your whole hand under your neck? I'm just taking a few more minutes just to settle in here. And then please choose a leg and bend that leg and stand it up. Then take the second leg and also stand it up. Notice what that does to change the position of your pelvis and the arch in your lower back. Slide one leg long, slide the other leg long. Notice what happens to your lower back. Slide one leg up, slide the other leg up. Notice how that changes your lower back again. Do that a few more times. Sliding each leg down, feeling how the weight of the leg can pull of the pelvis forward and down so that the arch in the back increases. Noticing that when you bring your legs closer to this quadruped position, that your lumbar spine can flatten a little bit. So good. Now, what's it like to have your feet standing? Are you gripping the floor with your toes? Are you clenching your thigh muscles and your hamstrings muscles? What would happen if you imagined that there was a marionette string attached to this knee and to the other knee, and the marionette strings were pulling towards the ceiling with just enough tension so you didn't have to use any muscles to hold your legs up? Not so much that your knee leaves the floor, or your foot leaves the floor, but just enough tension so that you can allow the weight to move through your bones, through the bones of your feet, the bones of your ankles, your shin bones, your thigh bone, and into your pelvis. And you can feel the weight at the feet side, and you can also feel the weight on the side of the pelvis, in the back of the pelvis. Do you need to have your heels closer to your pelvis or further away from your pelvis? Do your feet need to be wider apart? Do they need to be closer together? So find your Goldilocks spot where you feel the most comfortable and supported by the ground in your pelvis and your legs. And now please lift your right leg up, and you're going to cross it over the left leg at the knee without moving the left foot. Most people like to move their foot in when we do this, but we're not going to do that. We're going to keep the left foot right where it was, so that when you cross your right knee over your left, it draws your left knee a little bit towards the center. Now just very gently rock a little bit with your knees, a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left, moving maybe 2 inches in space. Where does it get easier? When you move towards the left? Where does it get harder? When you move towards the left or when you move towards the right? How far can you go before you start to feel challenge in either direction? Where you feel like you're going to lose your balance. Maybe you feel that your stomach muscles start to tighten. Please don't do that. So if you're starting to brace or compress yourself to do the movement, then you need to do the movement smaller, please, so that it doesn't cause distress. We're looking for how to organize ourselves in movement in a way that is harmless. So now, as you begin to let your knees drift to the right, and you start to allow them to drift a little bit further and a little bit further, what happens to your lower back? Does it start to arch more, or does it start to flatten more? And when you bring your knees back to center, what happens to your lower back? Does it flatten more, or does it arch more? Since your torso is canted towards the left knee, you will feel that the right side of the pelvis is off the floor a little bit, but it won't just be the lower back. So now as you move your knees to the right again, feel how your weight crosses across your sacrum at the middle of your pelvis, and go as far to the right as you can without feeling any tension in your stomach muscles. So my belly stays loose, and I can help myself by breathing into my belly, letting my belly be full and helpful to support my weight moving across the back of my pelvis. Repeat this several more times, resting whenever you need to, not creating any muscular tension anywhere. If you need to take a rest, go ahead. Each time you do the movement, you try to find more support. For instance, how is the left foot helping you do this movement? How are you anchoring through the left foot so that the points of each knee can just drift away from the foot slightly without losing all of the support from the left foot. How can you coordinate the support through the left foot with what's happening to your pelvis as it rolls across to the right? As you go more and more and more into repeating this movement, you'll find easier and easier ways to make the movement happen. Does it make the movement easier if you turn your head to the left as you bring your knees to the right? Try that a few times, bringing them back to center at the same time. Then the head turns to the left as the knees go to the right. Does that head counterbalance the weight of the knees such that the movement's a little easier to do? Try it without. And then try it again with the head going opposite. Good. Pause and take a rest. Uncross your legs and lengthen your legs. Noticing if the back of yourself is relating to the floor in a different way. If maybe your calves are heavier, or you feel more of your gluteal cheeks on the floor. Maybe your lumbar curve has changed. Maybe you have more weight, oddly, in your upper body than you did before. Just notice that. And as you're resting, I'm going to keep talking just to give you as much information as I can. So one of the things that might happen as you move, doing these unusual, uncommon movements, is that your movements might be jerky and they might have kind of ratchety quality to them. That is an indication of learning that should be applauded, because it's the first glimmer of understanding that your brain is making about what you're asking to coordinate, and it's something you've never coordinated before. So the impulses are not refined yet, and they may have that roughed-in quality until your repetitions allow you to refine and refine and refine the movement. So let's bend and stand the legs again now. And let's cross the left leg over the right. Again, not moving the right foot. And so just weeble wobble a little bit to the right and a little bit to the left. Noticing what happens when you go towards the right. Does your shoulder come with? Does all of you roll? And noticing what happens when you begin to drift towards the center and then a little bit to the left and then stop and come back to the beginning. So you're glacially making this passage, this journey across the back of your pelvis, changing the points of contact between your pelvis and the floor, drifting the weight of the legs, finding the support through the right foot that drives force up the shin bones, into the thigh bone, and into the right hip joint to help you roll across to the left. How far to the left are you on your pelvis? Are you going too far? Are you pushing yourself because you think more is better? What happens if quality was more important than quantity? What happens if you didn't care about the result, but you were just interested in an experiment in the unknown? Continuing to repeat and attend to more and more details about the movement, about how soft you can keep your abdominal wall, about the quality of your breath, about what your shoulders are doing. And then allow your head to turn to the right as your knees move to the left. Start small and let them move equidistant. So from the midline, the nose and the knees move equally away from the midline and then right back to center. Feel the sense of drifting across the floor through the back of your head and across the floor through your right foot. So this is, the Feldenkrais method has nothing to do with stretching. So you're not looking to go as far as you can or to feel a stretch or to cause something to happen. You're just playing in the sandbox. Good. Uncross your legs and slide them down long again. Just take a moment to sense what might be different about how you are now than at the beginning of the lesson. All right, we'll stop there. Stay tuned for part 2 next week. Thanks for watching.